Hi guys, it's Sarah with Sips and Strokes. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint the Statue of Liberty painting. We're going to use lots of bright colors. We're going to go step by step. If at any time you need to pause the video, feel free to do so. But I am going to show you how to do it, and if you want to customize it in any way, feel free to do so. It's like if you wanted to do different color fireworks and so on. So feel free to have fun with it. Take your time. If you mess up on something, just let it dry. You can always go back and fix it later. So just keep that in mind. With all of that being said, we are going to get started. With me, I have a paint rag, just an old rag that you don't mind getting dirty. I've got a big brush, a medium brush, and a small brush. Anytime you're not using your brushes, just keep them in your water. And I've got black paint, white paint, red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and blue paint. I'm going to show you how to mix your colors, and from that we are going to go ahead and just get started. First thing we are going to do is we're going to paint the entire background behind Statue of Liberty black, just a solid coat of black. So you're just going to start laying down that paint. With black being a high contrast color with white, when it dries, you may start to see little specks of the canvas start poking through. That's just because the paint is shrinking. And I am just getting as close as I can to my sketch lines. Your brush, you can always turn it. So instead of getting fat brush strokes like this, you can always turn it and get thinner brush strokes. So you can get in these little bitty areas. Some people like to outline the entire thing first and then go and fill in these larger areas. Any of these smaller areas, switch to a smaller brush if that helps you. So like I'm switching to my small round brush just to get in these little nooks and crannies to give myself a little bit more control. If you go inside the lines at any time, don't worry about it, because we are always going to go back and fix things as we go. So if you run inside the lines, or if you lose a horn at any time, like I kind of almost did, don't worry about it. You are always able to go back and fix things afterwards. You just have to let the paint dry. So I'm just going to fill in all of these little spaces with a smaller brush. Okay, and then I'm going back to my big brush, and I'm just going to fill in the entire canvas. So go ahead and do that. Pause the video. Now take a look at the sides of the painting. You see how that kind of looks incomplete? You want to make sure that you always paint your edges, just because you never know how high you might hang it. So I'm wrapping this black all the way around the side, wherever that black comes to the edge, so that when I take it home, it looks nice and finished up on the wall. Paint this edge. Okay. So now that I have that painted, I'm going to paint the pedestal that our statue is standing on. So I'm going to take out my medium brush, and I'm going to take a big scoop of white, slide that onto the table, a big scoop of black, and I'm going to fold that together. I kind of fold it like it's pizza dough from the outside in. And then I'm going to fill in this gray section. Normally I would wait till my background is dry to do this, but since I'm about to blend in a little bit of black and a little bit of white, I'm not worried if a little bit of the black from my background comes in. On your instructions, it may say to paint this first before you paint the background. Either order is fine in this case. So I've painted that. But I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm not going to rinse it, but I'm just going to wipe it off. And I'm going to dip into a little bit of white paint, just a little bit, and I'm just going to streak a little bit of white on that gray while that paint is still wet. When you're blending, you want to make sure that you blend into wet paint. Otherwise, it's just going to sit right on top. You can also blend in a little bit of black too. Your blending doesn't have to be super smooth. I'm going to come back with a little bit more white. But I'm putting the white on the top part of these stairs just to kind of make it look like it's got levels. So from here, I'll put white, and then here I'll put more white. Okay. So now you want to make sure that your entire canvas dries before you move on to the next step. So rinse your brushes, get some fresh water. Especially since we use black, that water is going to be pretty dirty. So go rinse your brushes, get fresh water, pause the video, and we will get started back once your entire canvas is totally dry. It should take about 10 minutes, okay? All right, pause that video. All right, so now that our entire canvas has had time to dry, we are going to start painting Lady Liberty. I'm just going to take my big brush as my mixing tool, and I'm going to mix turquoise. So I'm going to take a big scoop of white, a big scoop of blue, add that to the white, and then a big scoop of green. Fold it on top of itself. If you want this to look a little bit more green, you can always add a little bit more green since Lady Liberty is green. So I am going to actually switch to my medium brush. So I'm going to wipe off the excess paint off of the big brush so I can use it. I'm going to take my medium brush out, pick up that turquoise, and I'm just going to start painting my statue. I'm going to start with her body first. And I like to work in little sections with her. That way I can kind of control like how my blending looks. I like to blend in a little bit of white and blue and green as I go. So I'm going to work in this little section here, this section. So I'm filling that in with my turquoise. And while this is still wet, I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, and I'm just going to kind of blend in some streaks of the white. You don't have to do it the same way I am, but I'm just going to kind of blend in some folds. I'm going to put some white here. A little bit there. You can also blend in a little bit of blue. It's easier to build something up than it is to try to take it down, so start with a small amount. Then add more later if you need to. I'm gonna add some green. Maybe a little bit more white. So I'm leaving my brush strokes kind of chunky. I don't need to really make my brush strokes look smooth here. So I'm gonna fill in this next section. Talking is hard. Filling that one in, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in this little section too down here. And while that's still wet, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. I'm just going to blend in some little swishes of white. And I might blend in a little bit of green. You can blend in some blues. Again, this does not have to be perfect. Later, we're going to highlight with more white just to make some of these folds really pop in her fabric. That. Okay. So again, the next section, I'm actually going to switch to my smallest brush for these little sections. So I'm going to paint this area. And the little arm here. So with that, I'm going to blend in some white. Right, I'm going to do her arm. I'm going to do actually this first. And her arm. You can always take black and carve things out. Like I feel like maybe I made her arm a little too thick. I can always take a little bit of black paint and thin it out. This section of her sleeve. And I'm going to blend in some white. You can blend in some green. Put a little white into her arm. Okay. And lastly, you're going to paint her face. Her face, her neck, and her hair. I'm going to paint her hair. And I'm going to blend in a little bit more white on her face so that it stands out. And remember, you guys, you can always go back and rewind on this if you feel like you need to see something again. Rewind the video. That's what's great about having it filmed. I'm blending in a little bit of blue in her hair so it's a little darker, so her face stands out a little bit more. And then I'm just going to fill in the horns of her crown. Probably not horns, I'm probably using the wrong word. Her crown. Go slow, making those points nice and sharp. Okay. So I'm going to use that same turquoise color to start some of my fireworks. And I'm actually going to mix, I'm going to switch to my medium brush. And our fireworks, they're all going to start at the same center. So what you're really going to do is you're going to draw like a cross, right? And then you're going to draw an asterisk, okay? And then you're just going to fill that in. And so you're just going to make them look nice and full. And instead of holding my brush fat, where I get fatter brush strokes like this, I'm going to turn it on its side so that I get thinner brush strokes. While this is still wet, I'm going to pick up some white paint on my medium brush, and I'm just going to streak in a little bit of white to highlight that. So I'm going to do maybe 2 of the turquoise ones. So again, I have turquoise paint on my medium brush. I'm going to turn it on its side so that I get thinner brush strokes. I'm going to have one that's just coming off the side of my canvas. So I'm really just going to start with my center here and just draw outward. And I'm sort of flicking my brush so that I get these pointed edges to my brush strokes. I'm going to make that look really full. So I'm building that up. And while that is still wet, I'm going to wipe my brush off. That's my dog in the background. I'm going to pick up white paint. And I'm just going to streak in some white just to make that look nice and full and vibrant. So you're going to repeat that step for all of your different fireworks. So I am going to, let's do a purple one. So to make purple, I'm going to take a scoop of white. I'm out of room here. A scoop of red and a scoop of blue. So equal parts white, blue, and red to make purple. You can adjust your purple too. If you like more of a blue purple, just add more blue. If you want it more of a berry, add more red. If you want it lighter, add more white. But use the color chart on your last page of your instructions for reference on how to make colors. So I'm going to do one here. So again, I can just draw a plus sign, and then I draw an asterisk through the middle to make my fireworks. And then I just build up my fireworks. And while that's still wet, I'm going to dip into a little bit of white. Blend in some white. You could also blend in some of the blue or red that you use to make your purple. So I'll show you what that looks like. So a little bit of red in there. See what blue looks like. I might also pick up a little bit of that purple and put that in some of my turquoise ones, just as like a little pop of color on those. Okay. And let's say you want to do let's do orange. I'll do a scoop of white, a scoop of yellow, and then a tiny little bit of red. And that will give you orange. If you put too much red in it, it's going to kind of turn salmon, like a salmon color. So add small amounts of red into your yellow and white to get orange. See? Now we have orange. So I'm going to wipe off my brush so I don't have too much on there. Pick up my orange color. Let's do one. Let's do one coming off like right here. So I'm going to draw. You can draw an X and a plus sign through the middle, and then just build that out. And you can overlap some of your fireworks. Like that. And once again, while that's still wet, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, highlight that. I might also pick up a little bit of yellow. Let's also pick up some red. Put some red in there. That red really packs a punch, so you don't need a whole lot of it. Rinse off my brush. I'm going to come back with some purple, and I'm going to do some little lines coming off of my Bible. So I'm going to pick my small brush up, pick up purple. I'm just going to kind of do these little swooshes coming off of that. And then you just build that up by adding lines in between your lines to make that look nice and full. Pick up some white, highlight that. And you see I'm overlapping that firework. That just kind of helps push that illusion of depth. Okay, let's see. Let's add one right here. I'm going to do a yellow one or an orange one again. I'm going to do a medium brush. Put one here. So again, a little plus sign, an X, and then you just build it up. Flicking brush strokes, overlapping a little bit over the purple. So pick up some white, blend in some white. Maybe a little bit of yellow. Okay. So I'm going to draw a couple of things along the bottom. So fireworks that kind of look like they're starting to take off. So I'm actually going to mix with my medium brush, a scoop of white and a scoop of yellow, scoop of white and a scoop of yellow. And I'm going to wipe my brush off and I'm going to switch to my small round brush. I'm going to pick up that yellow and I'm just going to draw some lines that are coming off of the bottom of my canvas that kind of fountain outward. You can do the same thing on the other side if you want to kind of balance it out. Some yellow. And then I like to just incorporate some of the turquoise. Again, I have my small brush. And let's do a little bit of that purple. You can do any colors that you want here. And then just a little bit of white. But they just sort of fountain outward. So I'm going to use that same white, scoop of white and a scoop of yellow mixture. If you need to mix up a little bit more, it's just equal parts yellow and white. And I'm going to paint my crown. Small brush, paint your crown, like the band around the crown. And I'm also going to paint the fire, the flame here. So I'm going to fill this in. You can also blend in a little bit of red, just a little bit of red. A little bit of red will go a long way. A little bit of red in there just to give it some more of that fire element. And from there, you guys are just going to highlight with white. So haphazard is the key word here. And I have my small brush and I'm going to pick up white paint. White paint haphazardly. I'm just going to kind of highlight my statue, some of these folds in the fabric. We did a little bit of blending earlier, but this will kind of help push that illusion of fabric a little bit further. Highlight here, I'm going to highlight her face. Highlight the sleeve. And these are just really quick haphazard lines. You can highlight her crown. And you can also throw in some more white highlights into your fireworks if you would like. Okay. Let's add a little bit of a highlight here on the stoop or pedestal thing. All right. And that is it, you guys. That is the final product. Take your time adding any final touch-ups that you may want to go back and rework. The great thing about this kind of paint is when it dries, you can layer paint on top of it. As you can see, we painted this whole thing black and we were able to layer colors on top of it. So don't be discouraged if you have to go back and correct anything. Feel free to take a picture and post it on our Facebook or Instagram. We'll have those linked below for you guys. We love to see those on our social media. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed painting this today. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact us and reach out. But once again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in another video. Thank you.